Welcome to Tech Notice. I have gone in lengths on this channel to make sure that you are buying the right stuff. But then I actually went to Amazon to have a look what do people actually buy. And I was shocked because some of the things I'm like, why are you buying this? You shouldn't be buying this. It's not a good value. It's not gonna work for you. So I'm gonna show you some of the things that I would buy instead to save you money. And finally, I wanna give you 4 best GPU and CPU combos that would actually help you get the work done depending on your workflow. I'll show you that in a minute and save you a ton of cash in the process. Let's go. Now, bear in mind, this video is not sponsored by anybody, but if you enjoyed this, hit that like button. It does make a difference. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'm going to leave everything that I'm recommending in the video description below. Or if you want to check out the QR code, you can get the products that way as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So firstly, on Amazon's, when you go on the computer and accessories part list, so this is very, very generally, okay? So we're going to get into the internal compartments in a minute. As you can see, the tabs are open on the top of the screen. But I wanted to generally see what do people buy in computer accessories list. And interestingly, obviously, the Amazon tablets are one of the best ones to buy because it's their own thing. Perhaps they're rigging the system. I don't know. People need a lot of USB-C hubs. Fascinating. A lot of people are breaking the MacBook chargers. That's why they're buying replacements. And for $26, it's not a bad buy compared to what Apple charges, as we all know. That's a big, mistake. But then the fourth one, I think this is a good buy. The MacBook Air, I've spoken in length about this. We've made loads of videos about this. This is a really, really good buy. And there's over 10,000 people that have bought this last month. So let's do some numbers. $850 times 10,000 is about $8.5 million in revenue by just this MacBook Air alone. That's roughly last month. And then tech products have between 5 to 25% profit on top of that. So let's say a conservative 10% profit on that. That is about $1 million profit for Apple just on that particular model. Bear in mind, if we scroll further down, you'll see different colors in there as well, which is just crazy. We see a lot more tablets, and interestingly, I didn't expect Wi-Fi products to be so high up in there. I mean, come on. Chargers of all the things, you need a HP laptop charger. 19th place, as you can see, another MacBook Air. I highly recommend checking that one out. I'll leave the link in the description below for that. That is a really, really good buy. Now, I know we do need laptops, but on 24th here, you can see this HP 14 laptop. That's 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of storage, Windows 11 Home. It's hard. This is not a very good laptop. At 32, we've got a serious charger, and I would definitely recommend this one as well. This is a crazy, crazy charger. Interestingly, this is a bit of a thing where we're slightly misled in here. Now, Anker laptop charger, 140 watt max USB-C. That's not exactly what's happening here. Now, Anker, it's a good charger. It's got lots of ports, USB-C. Go further down in here. Here's what you can see. Maximum USB-C one is 65 watts, the second one 45 watts, and then 12, and then 12. Now, if you do use one port though, that is only when this works. So if you have a MacBook Pro, I highly recommend getting this one because that will charge your MacBook Pro faster, have more ports, and is just smaller than what Apple offers as well. Enough of the general things. Let's have a look at PC components, and that's what I'm really excited about. Now, I've got the CPUs and GPUs in a minute. I want to leave them a little bit later because we're going to build up to it. But let's have a look at power supplies first. Interestingly, the real power supply manufacturers that you know of, Seasonic, FSP, Be Quiet perhaps, not on the list. But what we're seeing here are Corsair power supplies, and there's a lot of them. So if you look at that power supply in particular, there's over 5,000 being bought last month of that one. 12 volt high power cable and ATX 3.1 and 5.1 compliant, which means a little bit more safer, so it's not gonna go poof. You know what I'm talking about.
This is called a catastrophic failure.
And interestingly, then we have MSI. MSI is absolutely getting there with their power supply manufacturers, interestingly. Then we've got Thermaltake, one of the lower ones here. I think this is white, 80 plus white, or 80 plus certified there. So it's not very high end quality. And then we've got RS Game, something like that. I've never heard of that company before. Cooler Master finally gets there as well. Look in the top 50, I don't see first Be Quiet, okay? I don't see any NZXT, FSP, Silverstone, Superflower, none of the big, okay, EVGA, there we go. None of the big, okay, 46, we've got one Seasonic power supply there. Interesting how Corsair is taking the market share there. I would say there's no real issues here with the power supply thing, but where I would see some issues is the RAM section here. Number one RAM is DDR4 32 gigabytes. That to me tells me that there's a lot of people buying the DDR4 platform, which is a dead platform. They don't manufacture this anymore, and this is not particularly cheap price. The 32 gigabytes, look, $72. For extra $10, $13, you get the same at DDR5. And if you look at some of the pricing for DDR5 platforms, either Ryzen 7000, Intel Core Ultra, it can actually be cheaper rather than the AMD's previous AM4 platform, because I think that's what they're going for. No one's building Intel 11th gen platforms anymore. People are still buying AM4 platform. You'll see that in a minute, which is crazy. And I don't think this is particularly good value for your money. So I would definitely go DDR5. But at the same time, if we're looking at DDR5, you can see a lot of people are buying 6,400 megahertz kits, which is actually over the manufacturer's recommended spec. So we're all overclocking and we're buying lots of overclocking RAM. There is only one CPU that supports over 6,000 megahertz settings in stock, and that's Intel Core Ultra. Ryzen 9000 and 7000 go 5200 and 5600 official spec of that. So everybody here is losing the warranty. Ooh, why are people buying so much DDR4? Upgrading 32 from 16 to 32, I think upgrading from 16 to 64 makes a little bit more sense, because even the 32 at these days, it's a little bit tight. But if you're looking for good RAM, I would recommend checking out Corsair Vengeance without the RGB, because usually that's very good price. And then the Crucial Pro, I'm going to leave that in the description below as well. Motherboards. Remember what Gamers Nexus was talking about, Asus motherboards.
Fuck you and fuck your board.
Remember my experience with Asus motherboards. What's going on with these motherboards? Why is there another massive chip in the end of this corner? There is a big dent in there. What's going on? Here's the thing. People are still buying Asus motherboards. Top 1, Asus. Top 2, Asus. 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 On the 5th one, we've got MSI. Then 1 gigabyte, then some more MSI, and then we're gonna go back to Asus. Asus. So out of top 10, 6 of them are Asus motherboards. They're actually good motherboards, just, you know, issues, customer support. Seems like people disregard the information out there and still buying Asus motherboards, which is interesting. And that's why I keep talking about these as well, because I know that people are buying them. But look at that, AMD, 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 AMD. In fact, the top third, this third one here is AM4. That's the previous platform. AMD, 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 AM. Okay, out of top 10, 9 of them are AMD motherboards. And then we get to top 10, which is Z790, this Intel motherboard. And I think, again, this is a mistake. The Z790 platform, so the 13th and 14th gen platform, actually, they're getting a little bit more expensive. And I wouldn't really get into that, especially because of the pricing, which I'll show you the CPU in a minute, and the CPU combo. I would go with that one. You're gonna save a lot more. And I think people are making a mistake. I don't think you should go with the Z790 platform anymore. Out of the 25 motherboards, top 10, 25 motherboards sold, only 3 of them are Intel motherboards. The rest of them, AMD. Intel's in trouble. Now, looking at storage as well, before we're gonna get to CPUs and GPUs. And here we can see, interestingly, Samsung is the one that's been sold here. No Western Digital. Where is the first Western Digital? Okay, there. 29 is WD. SN7100, there are a few of them. But if you look closely, you can see that out of the top 50 storage devices sold, none of them are Gen 5. So interestingly, we haven't moved over to Gen 5, especially because of the Prime Day. There was lots of people, and the Gen 5 drives were cheap, especially the Samsung ones. The 9100 Pro, I think it's a good drive to pick up. I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to check that one out. The 99 Evo Plus is performing very, very well. Go check out my reviews on the channel. It's been very, very good. And now to the absolute shocking bit, the CPUs. Take a look at this. Out of 12, we've got 1 Intel CPU. Out of 14, we've got 2. Out of 15, we've got 3. Out of 17, we've got 4. Out of the 50 CPUs, AMD is making 2/3 of the sales, if not more. And if you look at the top 10, that is all AMD. Literally nothing Intel. But I think people are buying a huge mistake, because if you look at the top 2 CPUs sold, 9800X3D and 7800X3D, these are both gaming CPUs. And if you're a creator and if you've been looking at the CPUs out there or the reviews by gamers, ooh, great best CPUs out there, you see these CPUs, but they probably are not the best for you. If you're looking for photo editing in Lightroom Classic, any video editing, anything else apart from gaming, they're not particularly impressive and are very expensive, to say the least. The top 4 here, we've got AMD Ryzen 7 5800XD, that's AM4 CPU. Not particularly impressive, even the price point isn't that good. And here, the best seller on top 12 is 14700K. Don't buy this. Again, a huge mistake, because the top 14 CPU here, look at that, it's cheaper and a lot better. I'm telling you, the 13th, 14th gen platform is dead. Shouldn't be buying this. And finally, the GPUs. What are people buying? And number one thing people are buying is a GPU bracket. I mean, that means that you all are buying some big ass, can we say that?
You are a rude, terrible person.
GPUs. Top second one is an RTX 3060. People are still buying an old GPU. Not even 40 series, but 30 series. That's crazy. Is it particularly a good price? It's an alright price. But I gotta agree with the third option in here. The RTX 5070 Ti, this is a golden boy, and I highly recommend this one. Why is it a golden boy? Why is it the best GPU that you can buy in 2025 for 95% of the people? Because it's the perfect middle line over there. I'm gonna leave the link in the description below if you wanna check this one out. The truth is that it's a baby RTX 5080. So the 5070 Ti GPU die is actually a 5080 that NVIDIA decided either to just cut some of the things off and make it 5070 Ti and sell cheaper, or that when testing it and trying to make it into a 5080, they realized that some of the transistors aren't working or some of the cores aren't performing as well. So they basically just cut them a little bit off, and then you get the 5070 Ti. The benefit of that is we still get the same VRAM, we still get all the encoders as a video editor, if the same as on the 5080, which just makes it a perfect sweet spot there for you. Then we've got a 7600 XT. That is expensive and an old card, so I'm not sure why people are buying this. A lot of GPU sag brackets. Again, 5070 Ti, but oh my goodness, that is so expensive. Why are you buying this for $1,000 where you can get this for $789? Okay, now we'll come to the bit of the best CPU and GPU combos. And I've got 4 options for you. And this is what I would recommend for most of the people. I think I'm gonna hit like 99% of the people, especially if you're creators out there. The number 1, the cheapest option that I would recommend is a Ryzen 9700X. It's an 8-core CPU and an Intel Arc B580 GPU. You might be thinking that's a bit of an odd combination. And I would say this is the budget end and massive upgrade path available for the CPU. Hopefully AMD is going to continue this CPU platform and you can upgrade again. But this is very good for photo editing. So if you do any photo editing, especially in Photoshop, it's an incredible, incredible machine. And the GPU allows you to also do a little bit of video editing. So if you're looking for something on the budget end that does have upgrade path, then this is a great combination for you. Links in the description below if you want to check it out. Number 2 is the best bang for buck for all worlds. So this is for people who want to do gaming, who want to do video, photo editing, 3D, kind of the best of everything, but want to know what's the sweet spot. I don't want to spend too much on CPU, too much on GPU. I don't want there to be a bottleneck. And I think the perfect combination is an Intel Core Ultra 265K, because it's just so cheap and performs really, really well. And you get encoding, iGPU, everything in there. Anyway, it's a good CPU. And then for the GPU, I mentioned the 5070 Ti. That's the one that I would go for, because for video editing, it's going to be great. For photo editing, it's going to be great. For AI, it's going to be great. For 3D, it's going to be great. It's just going to be great at everything. For gaming, it's going to be great as well. I'm going to leave the best pricing option for these in the video description below if you want to check them out. But moving on to number 3, and that's the ultimate performance and an upgrade path version. Remember, on the GPU list, there was no RTX 5090s, but I would highly recommend the RTX 5090s. If you're a power user who does a lot of creative tasks, the 5090, there's a no-brainer for you. It's just a whole other class of GPUs from 5080. 5080 kind of, there's like steps going up to 5080, and then there's boom, 5090. It's a whole other level, and I highly recommend that one. But then for the CPU, I'd probably pair it with the 9950X from AMD. So you get 16P cores. It's very, very powerful, power efficient at all loads, not so much on the idle performance, but you do have an upgrade path, hopefully. That's what AMD is saying. So this is good for video, photo, 3D, gaming, pretty much anything you throw at it. And it's going to save you a little bit of money as well, because we didn't go with the X3D version because it's a lot more expensive, but the performance increases within margin of error. So that's why I wouldn't recommend that unless you're just gamer, then the X3D is for you. And finally, fourth, there is one more combination that I would recommend, and that's for the people who want particular workflow and for the best of that. And that is the Core Ultra 9285K with a 5090. And you might be saying, why would you go with that one? Because no one's buying that. You know, all the specs and every one of the benchmarks out there show that this is not what you should be buying. Actually, there are 2 workloads that I think this would be good for. In fact, make it 3. Number 1, Lightroom Classic. If you're doing a lot of Lightroom Classic editing, the Intel Core Ultra is one of the best out there. In fact, the boost profile gives you extra performance, and you can run your CPU even faster, up to 8000 megahertz of memory when you're pairing it with that kit. Then secondly, Premiere Pro and video editing. If you want the ultimate video editing performance, the Ultra 9285K is better than the 9950X. There's no doubt in that. And thirdly, I would say in some of the software support and some of the 3D, the Core Ultra 9285K can be better depending what you're doing. But Intel has a bit of a history of being better. Now, AMD is catching up in there, but in certain workflows, Intel might be a little bit more stable. Overall power consumption, this is a crazy point actually. Intel is more efficient. You might be saying, what are you talking about? Intel pulls a lot more power. Actually, if you look at the overall workload, so single-threaded, low workloads, and then high workloads, Intel will be more power efficient. Links in the video description below. Let me know what you guys think. Would you agree with me? If you don't agree with me, I dare you, leave a comment. Let me know why you don't, because well, let's debate it out. Let's figure out why you don't agree with me. Thanks guys for watching. Links in the description below. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless. Goodbye.